I'm going to tap the lock button 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. Give it a few seconds. Fire off all the electronics. You'll see the parking lights kick on. This video is going to cover the Mazda CX-3, CX-5, and CX-9. We are using the CX-9 as our demo vehicle. However, the installation is the exact same for all vehicles listed. If you have the electric seat, is slide it all the way back, and that's going to give you adequate room to do the install right here underneath the dash. Go ahead and rotate your steering wheel so it looks like this, where the bigger opening is over here on the left-hand side. You're basically just going to unhook the negative battery terminal right here. So it's a 10 millimeter. So just grab a socket, loosen it up, pop this baby loose like so. Take the foam out of our box and set it right here. That's basically just going to keep the terminal from touching the battery. You will have to reconnect this before programming the module, but we'll get back to that here in a minute. Now that the battery's unhooked, we're going to go ahead and remove this bottom plastic piece from the steering wheel. The easiest way to do this is to unlock the steering wheel, pull it all the way out, push it all the way up, and then lock it back into place. There's a couple screws that we need to remove underneath the steering column. They are Phillips screws. There's one here, and some models have a third screw, so just kind of double check and make sure that you have all the screws out before you pop this down. So go ahead and remove the 2 or 3 Phillips screws that are here. Once you guys have the screws removed, go ahead and release the steering wheel lock right here. And then we're going to go ahead and break these 2 halves apart. So grab the plastic pry tool. You're simply going to stick it right on in here below the parking light switch lever, and you're just going to simply break it apart, and it comes right on out. We're back underneath the steering column, which is where we're going to install our main harness. If you look closely, you'll see 2 white connectors. There's one here on the left, right behind the little hook, and then another one right here on the right. So go ahead and unplug these connectors. And then you're simply going to plug the mating end of our connector into it like this. And then plug the other end of our connector right back into the module. And you will hear an audible click. Everything's locked in. The harness has enough length where you can fold it over, and you'll put a zip tie on it right back in here to keep it stationary and out of the way. The next thing we're going to do is make sure that your jumpers are in the right place here. We're using the Mazda 3 because that's what's listed on the install guide. And remember, whichever one you're not using, make sure that you have the cap on it because the car will not function without the cap on. You'll notice on our main harness we have an HLSA port. You'll simply take the secondary harness and plug it in, and that's going to give you the 2 T-harnesses that Mazda uses in their vehicles. So we're going to show you how to route these and plug them in. The headlight switch adapter is going to plug in right behind the headlight switch, and how we get to this is you simply have to lift up the top half of the steering column, and then we just simply remove the whole entire headlight switch. Now this is why I had you guys rotate the steering wheel. You're going to notice that there's a little tab right here. You're going to push in on this, and then while you're pushing in on it, pull out on the headlight switch, and then that's it. So this is not the connector that we need that you guys can see underneath the column. It's actually going to be right here on the back side. So go ahead and pop the plastic off. Yours might be black. This one's white, clearish looking color. Once you determine which light connector that you need, you're going to go ahead and take that one and route it up under and through this little hole here. The whole thing like this. Only the one you're using. The one you're not using, let it stay down underneath the dash. And then you're gonna go ahead and plug this in to the headlight switch. So this one's a 6-pin. You're just gonna pop this one out, plug this one back into the module, and then plug the OEM back into here. It just T-harnesses in. As you can see, we have the OEM connector and it is plugged into our harness, and then the other end of our harness is plugged right back into the headlight switch. Make sure the connector with the orange wire plugs into the headlight switch, and make sure on the other end of our harness that has the yellow and white wire, they match up with the 2 wires next to each other on your factory connector. Then use a provided zip tie to secure the 2 connectors together before reinstalling the switch in the vehicle. If you guys have the 8-pin left over that has the male terminals here, put some electrical tape around this, or simply just pop this off and zip tie it to the harness. That way the terminals won't short out on anything when you mount the harness and the module. The easiest way to reinsert the switch with the harness hooked up is make sure that the cable is all the way bottom left corner, and then you can put the switch in like so, and don't clip it in yet, but the slack you can simply pull back a little bit and then go ahead and push this in where it clicks like so. And then you can feed the wire on the bottom, and on the top above where that connector plugs in, there's enough room to put this connector, and then the steering column and everything pops right back on and you're good to go. The little clear or black plastic cap that you popped off, you can throw it in your glove box or whatever. It's not gonna go back on right now. After you guys have the headlight harness adapter installed, just route it along the factory wire up here and you can zip tie it. The one thing you need to take note of is that one screw screws in right here, so make sure that you have the wire zip tied off to the side and out of the way. Before you guys insert the headlight switch back into the steering column, make sure that your steering wheel is straight like this, because otherwise the switch won't stay locked down and the blinkers won't work properly. So make sure your steering wheel is aligned straight, insert the switch in, and then you'll be good to go. All right guys, so we're ready to program the module. I'm just gonna go ahead and reconnect the battery. Just as a note, anytime that you disconnect the factory BCM connectors, you should always unhook the negative terminal battery in these Mazda vehicles. I'm going to refer you guys to the installation guide for the programming process. Sometimes firmware changes or gets updated, which alters the programming. So if I show you guys how to do it now, 6 months down the road, if things change, the video is no longer going to apply and people get frustrated. So the way the 2-stage programming process works is you guys will put the module in the car. You will complete stage 1 programming, which is outlined in our installation guide. You will unplug the module. Make sure that you plug our drive time cap into the harness so you guys can drive the vehicle while the module is out of it. And then you're going to send the module back to us for the completion of stage 2 programming. We will ship it out the same exact day that we receive it from you. And then you're going to plug it back in the car, do a couple steps, and you'll be on your way. So we got the 2019 CX-9 all finished up. I'm going to give you guys a quick demo on the factory key. You're going to tap the lock button 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. Give it a few seconds. Fire up all the electronics. You'll see the parking lights kick on. When you guys are ready to come out and leave, simply press the unlock on the remote. That starts a 45-second timer for you to get in and do secure takeover. If you exceed 45 seconds, the car will turn off when you try to get in and drive away. So once you get in the vehicle, as long as you have a key with you, all you need to do is press and release the brake pedal, and that's going to turn off the remote start and transition over to the key. And now all you need to do is pull the car out of park, and away we go.